Hey, this is the third attempt I have tried to reveal the real Dr. Lynn for the very first time on my own YouTube channel. So good morning from the north of Scotland. I've got my peppermint tea. I had tried getting going with my channel in recent times and then suddenly, no, Lynn, it's not your time. Life took over. I had been very excited to get going, didn't really know what direction or what emphasis I was supposed to have on my channel, but now it's become perfectly clear to me what my role is, what God wants me to do, what He wants me to talk about, to bring attention to and tell stories about and bring a great understanding, hopefully, to people who will watch some of my stuff, is primarily my own journey with having been a mum, a sister, a daughter, granddaughter, 2 times wife, now not, single mum of 5, pretty typically neurodivergent, except for the eldest, children, ex-medical doctor. I did actually train up at Glasgow University in the early 90s as a medical student, and eventually became a partner in general practice after many hospital jobs, including psychiatry actually. But probably about a third of GP consultations are something to do with psychiatry or mental health issues in people. So I'm well versed in speaking to a lot of people about their situations regarding how they're showing up in the world mentally, emotionally, physically, and I guess not so much in terms of spirituality as a medical doctor until right at the end of my career, when I did go on a spiritual medicine course, and that really, really blew my mind. But what I have learned about myself is that all that time I had a hidden, unknown, feels like a disability that you don't know you have, and you don't look like you have something on the outside world because you look perfectly normal and capable. And in many ways, you are very, very capable of doing a lot of things excellently. But the challenges of ADHD in a life, especially when you don't know you have it, are multiple. It can feel like you're walking through a minefield and you can step on a mine at any point just by showing up as yourself, and you don't know why you just did that or said that or behaved that way, and it can get you into a lot of situations that people then say, you're no wise, you're crazy, you're weird. I've been called everything: space cadet, black-hearted bitch, impulsive. What else I've been called? It doesn't really matter, because that's other people's perceptions of me, and I know that that is not the true me underneath. So the real me would be someone who genuinely wants to show up and be a valuable, contributing member of society in the best way that I can. And when you don't know that, for some reason, you're like literally, it feels like being in a straitjacket. You're like, why can't I do the thing? Why can't I do the thing like other people can do the thing? And then for me, one day, my daughter, when she was 15, so nearly 4 years ago, she came into the kitchen and she said, Mum, I think you should do an online ADHD test. And I was like, what? Why? That's the last thing I have. And she's like, no, I really think you should do this online ADHD test. And so I did there and then do it, really to humor her. I was like, there's no way I've got that, but okay then. I did it and I scored 99% or thereabouts. And I was like, oh, what? Have I filled in the answers wrong or what's going on with this? It was really, really, really bizarre. And I had to process. I was like, what? Okay, so I've been in the past diagnosed by psychiatrists for various things that have gone in the past. Depressed, severe depression with suicidal intent. That's a story for another day. That's been more than once in my life. Put on antidepressants, got far too high. And at one point I was told I was bipolar. At one point I was told I was borderline personality disorder. I actually argued the point with that one with my psychiatrist, because I'm like, look, how could I have got myself through medical school? I had a really good childhood, no problems at school, excelled in a lot of ways, never really had problems significant at all until I got to university. Still managed to get my medical degree eventually. I have had at that point been a wife, a good wife, mother of four, while training myself, getting my way through all of the jobs and exams, etc., the MRCGP for being, gold standard, showing up in the profession as a general practitioner. Got a partnership in a good practice in my local nearest big town and was a very good doctor. Came in the top 10 in 1,000 doctors who sat the MRCGP exam that particular year. Also prescribed homeopathy, which I trained up in. But then I ended up with burnout and stress. So I had a lot of things going on, but I was like, if I had a personality disorder, I would have been like that from a young child and all through. So I don't understand how I could have done all those things in my life and actually achieved all that if I had serious personality issues with myself. He was like, oh, okay, I take your point. No, I don't think you got a personality disorder. The reason why I'm saying all this is I think this could be a familiar story for other people who are struggling to know why they're struggling, and they don't know they've got a hidden issue that when they find out about it can help them to look back on their life and suddenly find answers to situations that they didn't know they were the problem in because they didn't know what they didn't know, if this makes sense. I've recently had quite the time of it because I've sensed that burnout and stress thing, like when I was leaving medicine, which I believe is misalignment in the field I was in. Not saying that it was a bad idea. I did all that. It was an amazing, amazing experience for me to learn all about the human body and practice as a doctor for all that time. So I graduated in 1999 and I was a doctor until 2012, seeing patients in very many different jobs and in my general practice career until I got burnout and stress and had to leave the profession. So I did leave in good standing, by the way. It was just, I just couldn't keep doing it anymore, and for a variety of factors, which I'm not going to discuss just now, but I do want to explore a lot of things on my channel. Why would you want to watch? Maybe because hearing some of my stories, and I do want to tell quite a few stories, maybe you will learn, oh, that kind of makes sense to me. Oh, maybe I should go and do an online questionnaire and see where I'm at. Since I did my online questionnaire, I phoned my GP, who knows me incredibly well because he was actually my trainer at one point, and he's been to my first wedding and he's seen me through various crises. And I said to him, you know, my daughter said I should do a ADHD questionnaire, and lo and behold, it's looking to me like this could explain a lot of my past. And my doctor, amazing doctor, said to me, do you know what? Awareness is increasing, especially since COVID. Bearing in mind, this was 2022, I was speaking to him. When people had more time to actually go online and figure out things and find out more information than they usually did. So he said, the system's very overrun just now, but I'll leave forms for you to pick up. So this was September 2022 by this time. I think I'd taken a few months to process and then gone, I really should actually phone the GP. And so he left forms for me to come and collect and pick up and send away to self-refer to the local service, as it was a few years ago. And so it took me just over 2 years to actually go to the practice to pick up these forms. And this was only because I was helping a friend of mine who was suddenly herself having serious health issues, and I ended up in a wheelchair. And I was like, I'll take you to the doctor. And then when I got to the doctor, I thought, oh, those forms, I should really pick them up. And I went to the desk. I said, I know this is a really long shot, but Dr. Macaulay, my doctor, he's amazing, he left forms for me to pick up 2 years ago. She went, oh yeah, no, we won't have them anymore, but I can get him to call you and we can maybe put some more forms for you to collect. And so that happened, and he called me, and I was like, I'm so sorry. And he's like, Lynn, I think that's part of the test is being able to pick up the forms in the first place. Now, once I did get the forms at that point in 2024, kind of December time, I filled in my part. I spoke to my daughter in London, who is coming up to 30 now, so she would have been about 26, and she said, Mum, there should be a special box on each of those categories for happens all the time when it comes to you. So it's a Likert scale. It's like, all of these things happen to me sometimes, quite often, a lot, blah, blah, blah. She's like, Mum, there should be an happens all the time for you. I was like, oh, okay. I had another form that my own mum had to fill in, which seemed like completely irrelevant, but that's for screening for more autistic signs, apparently. It took me a while for organising that because she doesn't live locally, but eventually, did I send the forms away then? No. Carried on with life. Oh, Lynn's got this sorted. Lynn's doing this, that, the next thing. It's okay. It's okay. It's not a big deal. Until last week, when a week ago yesterday, I had to phone the practice in crisis. Spoke to a lovely receptionist. I was initially really rude to her. And then I was like, I am so sorry I was rude to you. I'm really apologizing. It wasn't anything to do with you. My distress, I'd literally phoned up to make a routine GP appointment, and she helped me. Actually, she was like, no, I think you need to speak to someone today. And I was like, oh, and then the bursting into tears and the emotional dysregulation and all these things. So she put me on to a wonderful nurse practitioner in the practice who... Initially, I was like, oh my goodness, it's a brand new person. How do I summarize my life in on the phone call in the state that I'm in? I can't tell you everything, but I can just tell you I'm extremely distressed. And she said, take your time, tell me your story. And I was like, oh my God, I actually can. I can speak to her. Feeling quite emotional, just now, it's like, oh my God, it was such a relief. So I described to her one of the situations that I used to deal with when I was a GP, expecting a judgment from her about, oh my God, that's terrible. She just went, oh my goodness, Lynn, I just think you're amazing that you managed to do that while you had all that going on. And I'm like, oh, okay. So anyway, why am I speaking about this? We can have a crisis at any point in time. And there's some things that will maybe help you to understand. Do you maybe have to go and do an online questionnaire? What I would say about that is I think everybody should do an online questionnaire for ADHD, whether they think they might have it or not. Because I didn't think I had it. I thought, no, that's young boys being really dangerous and jumping around all over the place. What happens to girls apparently is they get told that's not ladylike. You can't like lie with your skirt hanging around your neck up at the back of the settee because people can see your pants. So you're like, oh, well, not do that again then. And then because apparently you get 20,000 more tellings off, let's call them. Not through my parents' fault. They were amazing with me when I was little, but because they're trying to keep you safe, right? So being constantly told that just showing up in the world as you are is not good enough makes you think, oh no, I'm going to have to try and turn up in the world differently now. And what happens mostly in the situation of girls is they then don't have the hyperactivity, because I actually move around a lot, as you can see when I'm speaking. My leg can be going, I can just be sitting here going like that, stimming, right? So girls tend to not outwardly show it in physical movements. I was very lucky because I did swimming, dancing, hockey every day. I did a lot of physical activities that were a good release for me, but maybe not all children do, but I was lucky enough to have that. And I had a very structured environment, so I had a good bedtime routine, amazing food. My mum's a great food cooker. That's really bad. She's great at cooking food and organising. And she's a great mother, so she was able to structure my childhood so I could excel at school. And all I wanted to do at school, especially from the age of 11 onwards, when my granddad died suddenly from a heart attack and he was a doctor, is I just wanted to find out how to help people with their health, and I wanted to go and be a doctor like he was. So that's what I did. Literally a few weeks before I was about to do my medical degree, I decided I wanted to do art instead. I can remember my mum saying, no, you can't do art instead. You have to be a medical doctor because you've worked so hard, you've done all your things, you're going to be a good doctor. That's what you're here to do, Lynn, and you'll always have a job, you'll always be able to earn money, etc. So I was like, oh, okay then. Okay, there goes my artist's dreams. But yeah, okay, fair enough. I'll go to medical school as planned. And I genuinely wanted to. But I was like, a bit of me was like, I really want to do art. So I did. I went to medical school. It took me 9 years to do a 5-year course because a lot of time was spent in the pub. A lot of time was spent skiving lectures because I really couldn't even be organised to get myself out to the lectures, etc. And when I was at the lectures, I found it really hard to concentrate, but I did. I mean, that the whole structure of my upbringing was now gone because I was from a small town in the north of Scotland, and then suddenly I'm in Glasgow, big town. Trying to organise myself, and I didn't know I had such massive organisational issues and time and emotional issues, which are the 3 main things that affect us. Anyway, what I've learned over time is that when you don't know what you're dealing with, that in terms of if you may have ADHD or not, if you do have it and you don't know about it, you're going to have a hidden disability that you don't know about, that other people don't know about, that makes you show up very, very differently in the world. And what I want to do, what I believe I have been tasked to do with how my life has unfolded, what I've learned, medicine, energy healing, all the jobs that I've had, all of the interactions I've had with so many different people. My ADHD led to massive cluttering and hoarding issues, which is another topic for another time. Has impacted my family, my relationships, my friends, my my career. I lost the house that I grew up in, 2 attempts of suicide, 2 failed marriages, an engagement which broke, which I have a young child from. I love him to bits. His dad is amazing. He's an amazing, 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 amazing co-parent. And now the 4 children from my first marriage, and my ex-husband and his wife and their 2 sons, and myself can go out on a night out now and have a great time. And it's taken a long time to get to that stage, but that's because of how I've understood how I show up in the world differently than I thought I was showing up in the world. And therefore I am able to show up in a more self-honoring, self-loving, self-caring, and self-worthiness type of way. I hope that makes some kind of sense. I've been through a house fire, had to move out with my children at the time. 5 children, well, one was already moved out of my house. Sorry, I'm finding it really hard to do this, but I didn't want to script it because I wanted to be completely real. And getting emotional. I feel like now is go time. Like, Lynn, don't hold back any longer. You could actually help people who don't know that they've got ADHD to go and do a questionnaire, at least start looking into it, because the system's overrun. I was told by the nurse last week that there is no service right now. Pretty much people are getting referred and they're getting a letter back saying, really sorry, we can't see you, we have no capacity. And that's okay in the sense that it's still worth getting your head around some of the differences so that you can understand why you've been showing up like you did, and suddenly your whole life starts making sense and you start forgiving yourself and forgiving yourself for times where you feel you've shown up in such a way that's hurt someone else, and you might need to have a discussion with that someone else about, I'm really sorry that you felt like that in that moment. I really, really didn't mean to upset you. It could be through whatever reason, the impulsive need to suddenly speak, blurting out, rude, interrupting, and it's like having Tourette's. It's like, blah. And then suddenly you've word vomited and it's been maybe sometimes inappropriate, and you can't take it back. But you can learn, if you can learn that you're prone to that, you can certainly at least try your best to avoid, even though it's just part of you. Or you can at least try and have a discussion with people that know you to try and solve some crazy issues. And that would be an example of a minefield moment for me. But what else did I want to say? It's been quite difficult because I don't want to mask anymore. That's the main thing. Why The Real Dr. Lynn is the name of my channel going forward. I don't want to mask, because masking is what people with ADHD learn to do. They learn that if they show up like this, like other people do, then they're going to be more accepted. They're not going to feel so weird, so isolated, I guess. And none of that's conscious. None of the masking is conscious. It's a learned, how are other people showing up? I'll do that then. That is possibly one of the strangest videos I have ever made in my entire time of so far making videos. If any of it makes sense, then I'm pleased. From this video, what I would love is if you feel like me talking about some of these issues, talking about what ADHD is in my mind, which to me, it's a physiological variant, which used to be of huge benefit back when we were more the hunter-gatherers type of society, certainly before so much bureaucracy came in, form filling, paperwork, IT, emails, phone calls, all of these things I find extremely hard, extremely, like it's torture. A phone call from an official person, I can be bursting into tears at any point because it's that difficult. And I will now say to them, I'm really sorry, I've got ADHD, that's why I'm really upset just now, just give me a moment. But at least now I can say that because I know why I behave like that in any given moment. So what I'd love to do with this channel is bring more awareness. Hopefully have people who didn't know they had ADHD discover it and then learn to deal in life in a different way if they can. Not masking, but being more themselves, being really themselves, but understanding how they come across differently and are taken differently, and that's okay. I would also like it if people watching this who do not have ADHD might think of someone who has really difficult times. Maybe they know someone who already is diagnosed with ADHD or isn't. Maybe some people who are curious will learn from this channel, because what I really want is a bringing together. I think the main factor for me is I feel like a right hand in a left hand glove in this world, attuned to higher dimension. So it's very hard to ground in this reality when, like, really I could just live in my imagination all day long. I really could. So I'm imagining and I'm bringing into reality because it matters to me. And I just had this dawning of a realization last night. What matters to you is how you are then going to show up and focus your energy in the world for the greater good. If you are believing it matters enough, you will show up and you will materialize, as in bring into the 3D in a matter form. Because it mattered, you're going to materialize a new world, a new environment around about you, which is way more suitable to you living your happiest and best life. And that's what I want people to kind of learn about on my channel. I will be telling a lot of stories. I will want to be having guests on, sharing any experience. Doesn't have to be ADHD. That's just my angle. But I think that I think there's way more people that have ADHD than we can ever even possibly imagine. And it's not an illness. It's not a disease that needs fixed. It is, however, a different physiology which benefited us way back in the past, more so than now. But we can learn to live as a society with helping bring more awareness and understanding and compassion and love where it is needed. One thing, if you find that you know someone who is prone to losing weight easily and unintentionally, and for me, this is a big one, because if I get if I get a few stresses on top of what I'm doing already to cope, and I do have amazing things that have helped me so much with my ADHD so far, getting yourself from a sympathetic to a parasympathetic nervous system state for more of the time is one of the things I hugely promote, because it's helped me a lot, believe it or not. But even then, even when you're doing everything that you can do, exercise, food wise, sleep, avoiding alcohol, whatever, even when you do everything you possibly can, if a lot of stressful things build up, that ugly that not coping, going into, I describe it as my ADHD is ADHDing a lot, and it has been recently. That's because of various stressful things going on recently, which I know are resolving now. But one of my friends recently noticed that I was getting really thin, and she was like, "Why are you so thin, Lynn?" Because literally I lost about 20 pounds since the middle of January. And I was just like, well, I don't know. I'm not really like trying to lose weight. I kind of forget to eat. So for me, that presents like when I'm more stressed, I will forget to eat for hours and hours and hours. Then when I try and eat, I'm not really that hungry. I don't really have much of an appetite. And I'm like, because I'd been forgetting to eat, everything's gone out of date in the fridge. Everything, if there's anything in the fridge for me to eat, it's probably gone out of date. I had good intentions at the time. Yeah, I'm going to eat this, and it's going to be great. And then I'm not hungry. So forgetting to eat, forgetting to drink water, having a clenched jaw a lot of the time. And for me, when things are really getting quite bad, I will start clawing at my face. And yeah, in the past I did have acne for most of my teenage years and adult life, but this here on my face right now, here, that's not acne. That's the result of me clawing at my skin. And I actually spoke to someone about this recently. I'm like, oh my goodness, I'm like, dermatotillomania. If you look that up, strongly associated with both OCD and ADHD. I said to this person who probably isn't neurodivergent, and she said a couple of things. She said, oh, I do that too. Doesn't mean I've got ADHD. And I'm like, yeah. There's kind of a difference between, because they're all human behaviors, right? So you can have it sometimes, you'll be, oh my goodness, I'm picking a spot here. Or you can compulsively do it as a like, and before you know it, you've got an outbreak of things that are not actually acne or spots, but then it keeps perpetuating. And for me, when I realized this, I thought, I've been doing that my whole life. I can be sitting there, and I did sometimes sat there in a consultation with my face bleeding, with it like tissue on my face, trying to hide the fact that, now I would just say, I'm really sorry, I've got dermatotillomania. My face is like being clawed to death by me. I'm trying to not do that just now. So those things, if you're spotting them in someone who does not have a diagnosis of ADHD, you might want to say, maybe you should do an online questionnaire. Because I honestly think if you are dealing with someone who has had this particular, what I describe as a hidden disability that they did not know about having, and if they're saying to you, I think I've got ADHD, you have to remember a few things about this. You have to go and look up RSD, rejection sensitivity dysphoria, which is extreme. And that the rejection doesn't have to be a breakup of a relationship. It can be a, suddenly you think everyone hates you because you blurted out something, and like, you know, it was terrible, and you wish the ground would swallow you up, and it's mortifying, and you actually feel so upset that you feel like a hated person, you feel like the worst person on the planet, and you feel your entire body, especially your heart, is in pain like heartache, heartbreak, from something quite, what most people wouldn't actually have that reaction to. They can have, because we're all human. But the best thing you can possibly do for someone who has ADHD is, if they want a hug, give them a hug. That's the best thing you can do. But another even better thing you can do is actually go on to the ADHD Chatter podcast, ADHD_love. Those two channels on YouTube have amazing shorts, because not everyone can watch a long video, and I'm really sorry this one's long, but I wanted to be real, because this is me in a mess right now, but I've got great hope, because I know that what I've been put here to do is to shed more awareness on this, and I'm doing that. I'm not holding myself back. I'm not waiting till my skin's perfect, till I've got a better hair day, or till, you know, obviously I've not been sleeping very well in the last week or so, but that's coming back to me, and I'm very grateful to have the opportunity to actually have a voice on this, which will hopefully help other people's lives. I do think this is my calling. I believe that 100%, and I've had a lot of confirmation from God this week that that is me now on my right track. Yeah. So this is not perfect, but it's intentional, and that's what we're meant to be, intending to be helpful in whatever way we can. And yeah. I mean, I've been told loads of things. You need to stop doing all the fidgeting, Lynn, when you're on a video and it's not polished and all this rest of it. I'm like, if I was to wait to be perfect, which I have been a perfectionist, perfectionism is fear of being criticized. I don't give a shit. I seriously don't really give a monkey's, sorry for the swearing, what other people think of me anymore. It's beyond that. I don't care. I really, really don't care, because I know that God has put me on this earth with my own perspective to shine light on things that may help other people. And some people are going to get triggered by what I say, and some people are going to be inspired to be their real, authentic selves. And that's what I'd like to do here. So thank you for listening if you made it to the end. And I really am excited to put this show on the road literally now, The Real Dr. Lynn. So take care, and I will randomly do another video when it's time to do another. And I thank you for your patience and understanding, everyone who's in my life, everyone who's been in my life. I love you all. Thank you so much. I do have knowledge about different things, products, etc., which will unfold. I've got a new one being launched in the company I'm with, which everybody is, oh my goodness, so excited about. Just saying that. If you want to find out information, then please keep following or ask me or whatever. I love you lots. Thank you for being you and being really you. Just show up as you are, knowing that you've got a good heart, good intentions, and that's where you're coming from. Bye for now.